Hey guys, what's up? I have a new knife review. This one's going to be on a Microtech. Haven't reviewed an auto knife before, at least I don't remember if I have. I was really into automatic knives pre-YouTube videos. In my younger days I had a specific automatic collection. It's all I did was collect autos for a good 3 years. And I mainly focused on Microtechs. Microtechs, in my opinion, are one of, if not the very best automatic knife company in the world. I've tried many different varieties of types of autos. I've tried OTFs, which stand for out the front autos. I've tried side opening autos. I've tried new age tactical autos versus, maybe a traditional style auto like a lever action or Italian stiletto, or say a Hubertus, type auto. I've tried different brands: Dalton, Protech, obviously Microtech. I've tried different kinds of clones, Chinese made, Pakistan made clones, just everything under the sun. Automatic knives have always been fascinating to me. They're very cool. A lot of them are just novelty. They're just for, just because they're cool and they're fun. But some, like the Microtechs, are extremely usable knives. Okay, they have the novelty of being automatic, but they are completely functional and very high quality. This one specifically today we're talking about is the UT-X85. Model number is 125-1T. This has the black tactical hardware. Okay, that's what specific model this is. There's tons and tons of variations. When I break the knife out and show it to you, after I get through the specs, I'll tell you a little bit about some of the variations that Microtech does. But they have a bunch of different models, and then from there, each model has a whole crap load of different variations and different options. But anyway, first you'll see is we have a cardboard box, but instead of, very similar to, say, the Chris Reeve knives, but you have a Microtech sleeve. It's just a quick distinction on what knife it is. So if you're one of those people with thousands of dollars to spend on knives and a huge safe full of them, it's quick identification. So it's a nice little touch. But no frills cardboard box. First thing we see here, caution, sharp edge. So you get a little warning right away. Of course, we have our knife in here. We have the operation procedure for anyone who's not familiar with OTFs, so that's good to know. A little paperwork in there, as well as our, I believe this is a registration form. Here's a little maintenance guide on cleaning, lubricating, abuse, and storage. And Microtech's stance on it, real quick, is you may store your knife in either the open or closed position. I get a lot of questions, personal messages for people who have automatic knives, and they always say, well, how should I store them? People have a fear that the springs are going to get weakened if you store them closed, okay, because they're in their compressed form. It's no different than guys with guns, and they always ask me the same thing as well. Should I store my magazines empty or filled up? When they're filled up, obviously the springs are compressed. Now, if you have a high quality spring, it shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter if you store them closed, just every now and then. And I'm not even talking like, once a week. I'm talking maybe once a month or so. Just to open them, play with them for a little bit, just to get that spring moving. But anyway, that goes for both knives or guns. Yeah, here's your warranty information and your warranty registration card, which is what I thought. And nice American flag in the background here. By the way, Microtech knives are made in the USA. Okay. I believe they're based down in Florida right now. Let's put that in the background here somewhere. Alright. So, here's our knife. Comes a nice sheath here. You got the Microtech logo on the bottom here, stitched in. The sheath is very high quality. It's one of those tactical type, tactical. But it is. It has a lot of different options here. First thing you'll notice is the Velcro loop. Alright. This is for the vertical carry. Okay. And then not only just the little flap, but of course you have the full-on buckle closure in the front here. Okay. Whereas a lot of times it'll just be the Velcro. Love that Velcro sound. But anyway, you have an actual buckle. Okay, so you have a secure lock every single time. This is a fantastic option. I think it adds bulk to it, but it's not a huge deal. The biggest concern here is I want to make sure I don't lose my knife no matter what I'm doing. Scaling a wall, climbing a mountain, jumping upside down, doing some somersaults, or just walking around, I don't want to lose it. So a buckle is the best way to do that. Alright, and besides having a regular buckle, you also have an adjustment on the bottom here with some more Velcro. So you can adjust it and then it'll even Velcro down so you don't have that flapping around. So yes, it's a very nice sheath, but in my opinion, not necessary for a small knife like this. Some of the larger autos, I think that the sheath is a great addition. In this case, it's just a nice bonus. But anyway, so here we have our knife. First, let's take a look at the pocket clip here. You see the Microtech logo and UT-X85. Now, the UT stands for Ultratech. This is basically a scaled down Ultratech. Alright, for people who wanted a smaller version of it, okay? There's a couple different versions of this style knife. This is just one of them. Alright, so now I'm going to give you all the specs and details on the knife. But before I do, let's see it in action. It is an automatic knife. Here's the trigger button. Push forward till it clicks. And there we go. We have our actuated automatic knife. Now, there are tons and tons of options. Let me get into options before I give you the specific specs on this one. Microtech has a bunch of different models, as I said before, just general models, and then within those models you have different options. Now, not every model has the same options, but here's some different variations you'll see on knives. First off, you have a plain edge blade. It could be a dagger style blade, could be a tanto blade. You could have a coated blade, an uncoated blade. There's a couple different finish variations such as high polished. You could have a satin finish, you could have a stonewash finish. In this case, we have a dual tone finish where it is coated on portions of the blade, making a nice contrast there. You could have a single edge blade or a double edge blade. You could have double edge plain edge, or double edged, one side plain, one side serrated. You could have both sides serrated. You could have both sides serrated only on the portion of the bottom, making it a double-sided combo edge blade. You could have different anodized aluminum handles. Some of them have tritium inserts in the actuation button for nighttime vision, or just a quick acquisition of the button. In this case, we have blacked out hardware. Some of these models have a glass breaker on the bottom, or quote-unquote skull crusher. There's just a whole long laundry list of stuff that you can have as far as variations on specific models. But let's get into specifics on this one, since this is what the review's about. I just wanted to mention that because there's really a lot of different options out there, depending on what people like, for not only collectability, but for actual use. So let's talk about this specific one. This is the, like I said, the regular Ultratech. The only thing that stands this apart is that it has the blacked out hardware. Okay, the hardware on this knife, the screws that Microtech use are a proprietary screw. I can get this to focus here. You'll see that it has kind of a 3-dot screw head. Now, they've done this so that you don't tamper with their knives. However, any Microtech enthusiast usually goes out and you can actually buy custom-made bits that fit these screws so you can take them apart yourself. Of course, like most knife companies, they don't recommend you take the knives apart yourself. Even for cleaning, they'll suggest that send them in if you have a problem. The reason they don't want you taking them apart is because a lot of people can't put them back together, then they have a problem, then they have to annoy the companies by sending them back to fix them. That's really why you see a lot of unique hardware on knives. The biggest exception on this as far as high-end production companies is Emerson. Everyone knows that Emerson uses Phillips and flathead screws so that you, the user, can pretty much do whatever you want. But a lot of times you'll find that knives have Torx bits, even as something like a hex screw, just so that the common person with just a screwdriver in the drawer can't play with their knives, and can't take them apart. And again, I believe that this is just in fear that there'll be complications when they try to put it back together and have to waste the time of the manufacturer to help them out with that. But anyway, Microtech, some people find it very annoying that they can't adjust their knives. The bits, the special custom bits you can buy, are usually like $20 or $30, so it's not a cheap thing to get. But if you do have a decent collection of them, a lot of people like having that in their collection, so they have the option of tinkering them, with them themselves. Anyway, moving on. Microtechs all have their own dates on the knives themselves. In this case, it is on the handle. Sometimes it's on the blade, depends on the model. If we take a close look at this, and again, let my camera focus, we'll see first off on top we have a fuzzy camera again. Alright. I love that. Okay. So on top we have our serial number 01878, and then underneath we have our date stamp. We have 8 of 2010, and of course this one has the claw logo. There's other Microtech logos such as the dagger, as well as there's another one out there, I forget what it is, but it really depends on the model, and when it was made will determine. Oh, here's the other logo on top there, just the Microtech with the M. But anyway, depending on what logo you have, it will, when the knife was made, you know, what model it is, that kind of thing. But generally you'll see that the most of them nowadays have the claw logo as opposed to the dagger. But again, just depends on what model you get. The blade here is an S30V stainless steel. This one happens to be a two-tone. So we see we have the coating here on the grind as well as on part of the spine. But it is the bare stainless all across here on the flat edge. Alright, and there's a lot of detail and milling on these blades. You can see there's a channel cut out and then a couple holes. It makes for a very cool looking blade. It really is just a bad looking knife in the best way possible, in the best sense possible. Very, very cool looking. With a lot of use, of course, those little pockets and stuff will present cleaning issues, but for the most part, I'm not cutting super dirty stuff with my autos. They're more for novelty than use, although you can use them really hard if you wanted to. You know, they're made so that you can rely on them. And of course, they are marketed towards the military. But anyway, like I said, the blade, S30V stainless steel, much preferred by myself, one of my favorite stainless steels to work with. The blade is 2 7/8 inches long. The thickness is 0.125 inches. So we have a decently thick blade, and you'll notice on the grind here, you see how it looks thicker up top here towards the tip? Well, that's because of the relief cut towards the spine here. Sorry about that, guys. That's my darn battery again. As much as I charge my batteries, I make long videos, so I should always charge before I start. Anyway, I was just saying that you have the relief cut here on the spine, so it appears that it's thicker in the front, but that's just the original stock thickness, okay, on the edge. But anyway, it's a very handsome looking knife. It's very, very cool. The coating on the blade here is a DLC, black coated blade. DLC has been, it's proven to be very durable. There's a lot of different coatings out there, but it's more than adequate for most uses, and I find that it does not wear very easily. Now this knife I did use a little bit, but not very extensively, so there's not a whole lot of wear on it, and the coating itself is still 100% intact. The knife did come razor sharp from the factory, as all Microtechs have that I've ever owned. There's one in particular model that I've had in the past. It was a amphibian, manual amphibian, which is a side opening folder, non-automatic, but that one came like a scalpel. I got that a few years ago, but all Microtechs, they do come very, very sharp. I'm just saying that specific case, it was like, you know, extra sharp for some reason. But anyway, the handle here is a T6 aluminum, very commonly used in a lot of different knives, not just automatic knives. It also has a hard coat anodizing on it. This one happens to be black. It's mil spec, very, very durable. You can do other colors as well, but this one, in this specific case, obviously is black. Closed, it is 4 inches exactly from top to bottom. This one does not have the glass breaker on the bottom, although you can order those separately. It's just a personal choice. I don't need one. It's kind of cool looking for as far as just, you know, visibility. It's a cool looking thing. You know, they make them look a little bit more, I guess, scary, or again, tactical if you're into that. So the overall length here is 7 3/16 inches. The trigger button here is a 303 stainless steel, and the pocket clip is a 301 stainless steel. Pocket clip looks to be the DLC coating, same as the blade, but the trigger looks to be anodized. Okay, so that's the difference here, although they're both black. The actual pocket clip I've used quite a bit. I really like Microtech's clips, the design on it. Here's a profile. Very easy because of the upswept tip. A lot of times pocket clips, they come up and then they come straight back out. This one has a slight bend straight, but it's not severe. It's very easy to get into the material of your pocket. and it really doesn't matter the thickness. It does come up enough where you can very easily put this in a jean pocket as opposed to, say, cargo pants. So I really like that. Of course, it's a very deep carry in the pocket. Basically, that's what you're looking at here. That's what's pretty much exposed from the pocket. So very, very cool knife. Price on this, it is not cheap. Okay, there's no cheap Microtech except for maybe their credit card style knives or some of the smaller fixed blades, and even them, they're not cheap. They're just cheaper. Retail price on this, the manufacturer's suggested retail price, MSRP, is $430. But of course, no one's expected to pay full retail. I got this one from Blade Ops. They're charging $225, which I think is a good price on it right now. Of course, they have a lot of different Microtechs they offer in all kinds of different varieties and styles. It's not for everyone, like I said. It is a great user knife if you actually wanted to use it. Most people buy, in my opinion, most people buy Microtechs to collect them, but they are great knives to use. One common misconception I want to get out there, or cover, almost a myth, is that when you open these automatic knives, okay, these OTFs, that it'll go through a phone book, or a tree, or even thick cardboard. That is just not the case. The springs in these knives are strong enough to deploy the blade fine, as you can see, but they're not that strong. You just cannot do that. Now, once it is deployed in the lock position, and by the way, this has very, very little play. All OTFs will have some kind of blade play. You just have to have that. There's moving parts in there. You will not find one that doesn't have any play at all. But there's a difference. A cheap one will have a lot more play than an expensive one. This has very, very slight play, of course, in all directions, as all OTFs will. But as far as the tolerances, it is very tight tolerances. So let me use the box here to give you an example, a demonstration. If you go to try to punch this through something, it's going to stop the blade. Okay, it is not going to punch through because that spring in there only has so much power. Now, Blade Ops did a great video on this. Some people get autos and they try to do this and then they think, oh no, my knife's broken. The blade's just moving around freely. The button doesn't work anymore. I just broke my knife, and they send them back. But that's not the case. Basically, it just hops off the track in here. To fix that, all you do is pull the blade to the full extended position, and it's back. And it will work perfectly fine for you. Now, there is quite a bit of force that's needed to actually actuate this. There's a spring on the trigger that holds it back, so you have resistance in pushing this forward. And it also stops, kind of like a Glock trigger, if you guys are familiar with Glocks. It kind of stops right before the firing, and then you have to give that extra little oomph to get it to pop out. Alright, there's lots of traction on the trigger itself, okay, or I guess you would consider it jimping. You can see there, it's kind of like a pyramid. Hold on a second. My camera's been stinking lately with the focusing. So I'm going to grab my old trusty jeweler's loop. A lot of people ask me about this. Jeweler's loop. L-O-U-P-E. People constantly ask me that. What are you saying? A Jew loop? A Jew loop? What are you talking about? Jeweler's loop. Anyway, so here's the trigger with a little bit of my skin on there. Hold on a second. Anyway. So there's the trigger. You can see it's kind of a pyramid type design. Basically, when you're pushing forward and backwards, you have a secure lock on your the pad of your thumb. It's very easy to use, and this is dual action, meaning that you can use the automatic feature to open the knife as well as close the knife. Okay, it's always going to be easier to open than it is to close, just on the mechanics of how your thumb works. It feels a little bit harder to pull back, even though it's the exact same tension and the same spring weight. But anyway, it's still easy to use. You have a lot of traction here, which I really like. It doesn't protrude that much though, so when it's in your pocket, it's not like it's a big button sticking out. It's actually pretty low profile, as you guys can hopefully tell there. But very, very cool. And again, just a reminder, it's not going to go through a whole pad of paper or anything like that. It really does not have the power. Now, once it's actually open all the way, yes, you have lots of power for stabbing and anything you need to use your knife for. Okay, but not in actually actuating that blade. Now, I did say it is dual action. It will open and close automatically. Some automatic knives, some OTFs, they'll open, and then you have to actually pull a retracting piece that actually pulls it back into the handle. This is not the case. This is a dual action auto. Okay, so that's, if you guys read on autos, that's what that means, dual action. It opens and closes with springs. So, what else can I say about this knife? It's a fantastic user. It is very sharp. Let me grab something here. Hold on a second, let me grab a piece of paper to show you this. Now, I have used this knife probably a dozen times since I've had it. A lot of playing with it, but even after some use, it's still razor sharp, as all Microtechs are, like I said, out of the box. Just ridiculously sharp. Okay, fantastic knives to use as well as collect, but they are actual good knives to use. Okay, most people don't buy a quality automatics. They'll buy a little Chinese mart, you know, $20 automatics. A lot of times you'll see the Lightning automatic. That's a Microtech clone of the Scarab. People will pay 40 bucks for it. It's nice, I guess, for a cheapo version, but it's nowhere near an actual Microtech. You cannot imagine the quality until you actually have one in your hand. And most people, especially a lot of teenagers, and I'm guilty of it too when I was younger, you know, you can't afford a $200 or $300 or $400 automatic. So you go out and you buy the $20 one, and it's a piece of crap, and then you kind of get turned off to automatics. You think, well, automatic knives aren't very good quality. Well, no, it's that specific cheap knife that's not good quality. This is a fantastic knife. Like I said, you can actually grab this, use it for anything you need a knife for, and it will definitely function for you every single time. It just so happens it's automatic. But anyway, if you can afford it, it's definitely worth trying at least once. I'm talking Microtech in general, period. Get whatever specific knife you like. I like this because it is smaller. I was able to EDC this a couple times, and I'm going to do a little hush-hush there because in my state of Pennsylvania, I cannot legally carry this knife around. But yes, I admitted to breaking the law. It's such a stupid, stupid law, and I don't normally do that, but I did carry this around a little bit. In my opinion, you know, I have the ability to legally carry around a gun or a massive, massive fixed blade if I want to. So why can't I have an automatic knife? It's like, you know, it's a law, but it's a technicality. I mean, jaywalking is illegal, but how many people are stopped for walking across the street, you know, outside of a crosswalk? It's one of those things. Look, I'm not telling you to break the law. Please, please do not break the law. I'm just telling you that I personally didn't have any problems, and there was one specific police officer who I actually stopped to talk to for a little bit, and I happened to mention that I do videos on knives, and he pulled out his pocket knife that he was so proud to show me. It was a Benchmade Osborne, and a very nice choice as well. But I happened to break out this knife. This is what I was carrying that day, and we just kind of talked a little bit about it, and not once did he ever mention that, hey, that's illegal. In fact, you'll find that most police officers, they really don't know what's legal as far as knives are concerned. They're not trained in their specific state laws. Trust me on this. They're basically trained to think that if it's a threat to me, I'll take it away. I'll ask questions later. I found my entire life that any cop that I've ever run into did not know anything about their specific state or, you know, city laws. It's just how it is. They're not. It's too much information to be able to train every single police officer like that. And like I said, for the most part, they're taught that, hey, you know, if this is a threat to me or anyone else, I'm going to take it away, and then I'll ask questions later. And they have the full right to do that. Even if you have something legal in your pocket, if you're a jerk about it and you don't listen to what they have to say, they will take that from you. Anyway, I'm not going to get really into laws. All I'm going to say is that laws will vary depending on where you live. Where I live in Pennsylvania, I can legally own this. That's why I'm showing it to you. But I'm not technically allowed to carry it. Some places you can carry them and own them, you know, and have a great time with them. And then other places you just can't even own them, period. They're just completely illegal. And laws to me, really, as far as weapons laws, they don't make any sense to me at all. Knife laws are just, they've always been whacked, and that's always been my opinion on it. But I do want to suggest in this video, please, please do not break your local and or state laws, okay? I do want to set a good example for you guys, so, you know, be good. Anyway, it's a very cool knife. It's an expensive knife. It's not for someone who just kind of likes knives. You have to just love knives, and you have to really have a passion for automatics. But if you do that, and you have a bank account that's big enough to pick one of these up, I would highly recommend it. It is definitely worth it. It's a great user knife. It's a fantastic collectible, and it's just a lot of fun to have. And you'll find yourself firing this all day long. And it's just so cool. It's a fantastic knife. But anyway, there's my review on the Microtech UT-X85. If you have an Ultratech already and you want something smaller, this is a great option. There's also another model that's even smaller than this. I believe it's the 75, or no, maybe it's the 70, UT-X70. But anyway, it's a nice happy medium. It's not as big as the Ultratech, but not as small as the UT-X70. It's just right. It's that perfect porridge from the Three Little Bears. And I absolutely love it. So, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I'll hopefully have more videos in the future on automatics. Kind of getting back into the whole automatic scene, but just can't afford to get all the autos that I'd really love to show you guys. But anyway, in the meantime, for all you automatic knife lovers, I want to make this review for you. So, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.